Before running a mediation test, I have to examine the direct link between the IV and DV. This is the prerequisite for a mediation test. In this case, as you can see, we are interested to examine the mediation role of ethical climate, EC, in the relationship between ethical leadership and organizational citizenship behavior, or OCB. To test whether this is a mediator, we have to first run PLS algorithm. To do that, we go to Calculate, PLS algorithm, and just follow the default indicators and measures and press Finish to conduct a PLS algorithm. As you can see in the results, the loading on each of the arrows represents the path loading for each of the relationship among the constructs. In this case, the relationship between ethical leadership and EC has a loading of 0.604, which we name it as A, and the relationship between EC and OCB has a loading of 0.635, which we call it as B. Now we have to key in these values in the mediation calculator. So for A, we replace it with 0.604, 0.604, and for B, which is the link between the mediator and your DV, we key in the value given by the software, which is 0.635. So what I need to do is now to run the bootstrapping. Since I have only 204 samples, I put 204 under the cases, and I also want the software to conduct 500 resamples as recommended by some authors, and I press Finish. In the default report section, I need to find the path coefficient sections. So I have to select all of them. In this case, I have to click somewhere in the screen and press Ctrl and A button from my keyboard so that I select everything. Then I have to copy all of these and simply paste it in a new Excel sheet. Now in this case, since my IV was a second order reflective formative type, that's why you see so many other unnecessary results produced for me as a result of the bootstrapping. But in this example, I just need to look at the linkage between ethical leadership and EC, and that was what I called as A. So again, the link between ethical leadership and EC, this is what I call as A. So I may just simply remove the rest. And the other one is the link between EC and OCB. So the link between EC and OCB is something I call as B. In other words, the link between my mediator and the DV. The rest of it I don't need, so I can just simply delete. Now the next part for me is to measure A multiplied by B. So this is the result of A multiplied by B. Simply I have to write a formula equals A multiplied by B. And once I do this for one of the samples, I can just simply drag it down so that it is automatically calculated for the rest of the resamples as well. Simply, as you can see, this is how it's been calculated. The next step for me is to now measure the SE. That is what I need to key in the mediation calculation template. You see here, I have SE. So to measure that, all I need to do now is to write another formula, which is simply equals to, and I have to then type STDEV, open the parenthesis, just simply select the first value of A multiplied by B, and simultaneously I have to press keyboard, in my keyboard I have to press Control button, Shift and arrow down. Once I do this, I just have to press Enter, and as you can see, SE has already been calculated for me. Now, the value is 0.059. In other words, it's almost 0.06. So I can put just 0.06 here under SE. And when I press enter, the values for the lower limit and upper limit of the bootstrapped confidence interval have been calculated for me. Now, the way that I have to look at these values is by simply looking at the range. If the range includes 0 in it in between, then I don't have any mediator. But if the range doesn't have any 0 in the middle, then I have a mediation effect. In this case, since there is no 0 in the range between the lower limit and upper limit, that's why I can conclude that I have a mediator. So this is basically how all this mediation calculation and mediation test is done in SmartPLS. As a result of this, I can conclude that ethical climate mediates the relationship between ethical leadership and OCB.